Hello and welcome to another edition of Mailbag. What is Mailbag? Well, Mailbag is a feature of the channel where you guys leave lots of comments on the channel and I attempt to answer those comments, or if I can't answer those comments, I throw it out to you guys who have more knowledge on some of this stuff than I do. So let's get into the first mailbag of this session. Remember, like, comment, subscribe to the channel. Go over to Instagram and follow me there. Go over to Facebook, follow me there. That's where the normal notices are. And consider becoming a Patreon. Next question just comes from somebody calling themselves Lots of Kisses 02. And this is in response to how to set up the Roland PG-1000 programmer with your Roland D-50 I video I did way back in July 2016. And Lots of Kisses 02 writes, hey, you don't need the MIDI Merge. The PG-1000 does in fact incoming MIDI with the parameter data. So this is what the input is for. So this is what the input's for. It is stated as such in the PG-1000 manual. You can grab a copy of PDF from the website. Okay, technically what O2 has said here is absolutely true. However, what it kind of misses is the fact that you're using it in a closed loop system. So you're setting up the Roland D-50 or the Roland D-550 effectively outside a MIDI system, and therefore you don't need a MIDI Merge unit because effectively all you're doing is sending the data backwards and forwards to the Roland keyboard. However, if you want to use your D-50 or D-550 in an open loop system, as in you want to be able to also send data from another machine. Now in the case of the D-50, it's probably, you can sort of say yes or no, but in the case of the D-550, you actually need another keyboard to drive it. Therefore, you will need a merge unit because you also have to merge the data that's coming out of your PG-1000 with the data that's coming out of your keyboard that you're using to drive the module. So, in that case, what O2 has written is actually incorrect because you do need a MIDI Merge unit. If you want to use the D-50 to control another synthesizer, you'll also need to use a merge on the out. Again, this is all comes of, you have to think through how your MIDI is designed. And if your MIDI is designed that you want to use a D-50 to drive something out, then you've got to think, well, I need to get data out of my D-50. I need to dump the data to my PG-1000. But I also need to run the data from the PG-1000 to somewhere else. Now, you could use, quite rightly, you could use the through port on the PG-1000, or depending on what you need to do, you could use the MIDI merger and actually split it out so that you can actually control multiple devices from your D-50 keyboard. I hope that actually makes sense. MIDI is always one of these things that lots of people get very, very confused about. And now that I'm in this new setup, I will probably do a few videos on MIDI. I know there's loads of stuff on YouTube as well, but it doesn't have the Music Tech Guy UK spin on it, which hopefully you guys will appreciate. But MIDI is one of those things you've just got to get your head around. You've got to get your head around what controls, what receives. And unlike USB MIDI that has, you plug a USB cable and it does the in and the out at the same time, normal 5-pin DIN MIDI, which is what most legacy tech runs on, does not do it that way. So you really do have to be careful, and you also have to be careful not to create a MIDI loop because that becomes excruciating painful on the ears if you get notes that just hang, and you almost end up having to switch everything off to try and clear the loop. Next question comes from Mikway Wave Sound Lab. I'm not sure how to pronounce that first bit, but Mikay well, Mikey. I'm going to call it Mikey because I think that's probably what it means to be. And this was in response to Death of the Kronos, which is a video that still seems to be garnering views X number of years later, because I did this in December 2021, which was when the Kronos discontinuation was announced. And Mikey says, Korg should make a new flagship synth in the vein of the M3, calmer plus 8 chord pads, 32 voice synth engine, e.g. microchord channels plus 16 knobs, 16 step arpeggiator, crossfade modulation like the Yamaha Montage super knob, real-time phrase sequencer like the classic Roland sequencer, assigned phrases to keys with aftertouch step and real-time sequencer performance combi mode that combines calmer and the pattern sections, dual cross pad chaos pad display and 64 MIDI channel sequencer. To be honest, that would be amazing. And I think, kind of everybody said, Nautilus was a temporary measure, but I think we kind of come into terms of the midterm on the Korg Nautilus is where we are. It was launched in 2020, available from January 2021, and we're now at this point in time just coming up to 4 years since launch. And there was, over the summer, there was of course the first major upgrade to the Nautilus, where they actually put aftertouch back on it. It should never have been removed from it in the first place. I mean, that was just kind of a complete stupid move as far as I was concerned. But my personal opinion is that we'll not see a new model until the Nautilus at least hits 5 years old. They're going to at least try and get 5 years out of the technology. But they should be finalising functionality for whatever model they're putting forward about now, I would have thought, because it'll take them, the best part of a year to get sort of the manufacturing side of it all set up. So we are hoping that the latest Roland Phantom Montage and the VST keyboards, like the sort of new Native Instruments control keyboard, are sort of kind of looked at and considered as part of the whole roadmap for designing the new instrument. One would hope that's what they're going to do, and then come up with, I think, what I see is kind of a combination of a synthesizer and a VST player is where I think the new king of workstations needs to go. But who knows in this crazy market space whether they're actually do anything that I think is brilliant. And I'm a Korg fan.